Clearly, ISIL has come to represent the very worst elements in the region that we have to deal with collectively. And that's going to be a long-term project. It's going to require us to stabilize Syria in some fashion.
ISIS militants have taken over towns and cities across a big chunk of both Syria and Iraq, killing tens of thousands in the process. The U.S. launches airstrikes in Iraq, but even Obama administration officials have said you cannot stop ISIS without dealing with the situation inside Syria. With me now, Fox News military analyst Lieutenant General Tom McInerney and the strategic communication advisor for the Syrian coalition, Ubay Shabander. All right, General McInerney, is there any question but that we need to bomb ISIS in Syria?
Not in my mind, Judge. I think it's very important because that's where their safe havens are. That's where most of their ammunition and their population center of gravity is. So we need to go there as well as, of course, in Iraq.
All right. Ubay, I understand that you believe that we need to go into Syria.
Absolutely. ISIS is exposed in Syria, and the reason why ISIS has a vulnerability in its position in Syria is because it is facing local resistance by the Syrian communities that are suffered under its control, and because the Free Syrian Army has launched a ground campaign against ISIS. So now is the real window of opportunity for the United States to launch crippling airstrikes against ISIS's command and control and its leadership as this terrorist army faces local resistance by the Syrian freedom fighters.
All right, General McInerney, I mean, what do you say to people who say, you know, if we go in there and we bomb ISIS or, you know, try to take out ISIS, we are then on the side of Syrian President Assad as well as Iran?
Well, that may be partially true, but the real facts are if you help the Free Syrian Army destroy ISIS and to give them strength that they can go put more forces against Bashar al-Assad's forces, then you have in fact enabled the Free Syrian Army, which we know the right ones, and we're going to enable them to be very successful. So people can say that, but in the reality of life, making the Free Syrian Army stronger is the most important thing in Syria.
Well, you know, it's kind of interesting when you think back to World War II, General. I mean, you know, lining up with Stalin against Hitler, you know, sometimes you have to do that kind of thing. But Ubay, let's talk about the fact that, you know, our president has talked about the international community is joining him. It's almost as though he wants a stable Syria and a stabilized Iraq before he does any of this, and yet we're not hearing anything about the Arab countries joining us in this effort.
Well, on the Bashar al-Assad issue, it's really important to remember that there is ample data out there that connects Assad, the dictator of Syria, directly to extremist elements that were eventually allowed to grow and expand underneath the watch of Bashar al-Assad. So the Assad regime is certainly not blameless for enabling ISIS and the predecessors of ISIS to expand in Syria and to go into Iraq. It's a dangerous double game.
By that same thinking, Ubay, and I'm sorry to interrupt you, but when you want to talk about blame, if we had followed through with our red line threat, you know, then, you know, maybe we are somewhat, you know, should be taken to task.
Judge, you're absolutely right. If the airstrikes had commenced last year when President Obama made his statement regarding the red line that Bashar al-Assad had crossed, we would not have seen ISIS in control of Raqqa. We would not have seen ISIS in control of parts of eastern Syria. And we would not have seen ISIS launch into northern Iraq and threaten a global terror campaign.
All right. Very quickly, General McInerney, 15 seconds. How long do you think it's going to take before we even think about going into Syria?
Well, it may take us 1 or 2 months the way he's operating. I'd start tomorrow, and it'll be over in 90 days, particularly with the Free Syrian Army elements there and the intelligence we can get with them. We already have 60 to 70% of the forces in place to do it, Judge.
All right. General McInerney, Ubay, thanks so much for being with us this evening.
Thank you.
And with me now, the founder of the investigation.